by fear. I'm clutching you so tight, afraid to lose. I retreat more each night. Where is my voice? I've muted myself, and in my shyness, it's you I repel. I will find my way to express my voice. I must find my way to ignite my spark. Find my way to me, so we can be we. Find my way. The fractures between us rise into view. I cling to the scraps of the care that falls through. Where is my strength? I've crumbled apart, hiding from the truth. I've shattered my heart, but I will find my way to regain my strength. I must find my way to restore my will. Find a way to me, so we can be we. Find my way. Here is this moment to take a chance, to go on alone or grow and advance. I will find my way to express my voice. I must find my way to ignite my spark. Find my way to me, so we can be we. Find my way. I will find my way to regain my strength. I must find my way to restore my will. Find my way to me, so we can be we. Find my way. Find my way. I'll find my way.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Thank you for finding your way to Sunday Live, bringing you new artists and musicians every week from 5 to 6 p.m. on Sundays. Imagine that. Hope everybody's doing well out there and staying safe. Go ahead, if you have any comments, post them here, and myself or my sidekick Joe or the artist can reply to your questions. Speaking of Joe, let's find out what's going on down in California. I'm in Seattle. Hey, Joe, you out there?
Yes, I am. Good evening / afternoon. How's it going?
Going good. I'm glad that the heat bubble dome whatever thing is gone, and we are back to normal Seattle weather, like 65 to 75. Fantastic. Not 100 and 110 and humid.
Good for your computers and your sound system not overheating and whatnot.
Yeah, that was crazy. Was that only a week ago? Yeah, I guess it was only a week ago. Yeah, that was insane. I had to run downstairs and get kind of stand and raise the computer off because the fan was whirling. I thought the whole studio was going to melt down.
Yeah, it's been overcast here. Just your classic summer marine layer. The old adage, the Mark Twain saying, the coldest winter I ever had was a summer in San Francisco. Well, it's like that over much of the Bay. The one exception's it's been Point Richmond, Sausalito, the eastern portion of Marin County, and right now Berkeley in the hills for just a little bit before the marine layer finally attacks us. It's like a monster movie every day at about this time, I swear.
little John Carpenter's The Fog.
Exactly.
So, and that's a tie into an earlier episode. One of our first episodes was an interview with Dan Wyman, who wrote the score with John Carpenter for The Fog, or he produced it, and yeah, he co-wrote it. Come on, really? Yeah, we got out to that Sunday. It was so insane here. We're like, we got to leave because we have no AC and everything was sold out. And so we went over to the Olympia Peninsula, out by the coast, Port Townsend, all that stuff, and get some of that Pacific air, and that let us survive Monday and Tuesday.
We got plenty of it here in droves, so you're welcome to come and borrow some from us.
No, it's perfect right now. This is worth the 6 month of thermal underwear.
I'll say this: it hasn't been so cold that it's prevented me from going out. That has happened in the past, but recently, the past couple of weekends, in fact, all of this past week, I've been getting out, having dinner with in Oakland with fellow club motorcycle members. And as I did last night before running off to Cat's Club, where I ran into some old friends from days gone by, including Lunatic from Death Guild and of Baycon history. And Luna and I were able to talk a little bit and whatnot. And I was there till 2 a.m. I lost 3 pounds on that dance floor, I tell you.
Awesome. I think we all, if you're ever in San Francisco and you like 80s music, especially like Depeche Mode kind of stuff, check out Cat Club. And that is the spot. Up here, the Mercury hasn't opened, which was the club that we had started going to. And that, I don't think, has reopened. I'll check in with Alex on that and see if she knows. Because I need to go out and dance and get rid of some of this COVID weight. It has been bizarre how fast things have shifted from like being trapped at home, where again we went out to the coast, we took a vacation, we went wine tasting. Today we went blueberry picking, and no masks. It's very surreal. And and 4th of July. The founder of Balanced Breakfast was up here and texted me and said, hey, let's go hang out. So I went downtown and we hung out by the water and watched fireworks and grabbed jump bikes, and we're riding around the city. And yeah, it was like as if nothing had happened last year. It was very, very strange.
Yes, it was like a holiday vacation from our regular lives, and that the regular life has been a year of hibernation.
Yeah. And we certainly hibernated. We pretty much didn't go anywhere for 14 months. So, yeah, we're getting out, having food with friends. We had food with neighbors, and life's coming back. Please, folks, go out and get vaccinated, and make sure your kid's vaccinated too, because if you watch what's happening in Australia and several other places in the world, you don't want to be going into winter. Right? It's winter right now in Australia, and that's why, one of the reasons why it's they're back in lockdown. I don't want to go back into lockdown. It was fun. It was great. We have a nice place here. I can work on music, whatnot, but please help us prevent lockdown. Well, let's go ahead and bring our guest on here, find out about our guest of the week, which is Socorra, singer, songwriter, and performer. Let's get a taste of her music right now.
Hey, I'm Socorra, and this is Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. If you need me, call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far. Don't worry, baby, just call my name, I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry, 'cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. Oh, remember the day I set you free. told you you could always count on me, darling. From that day on, I made a vow I'll be there when you want me, some way, somehow. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. And oh no, darling, no wind, no rain, oh, winter's cold can't stop me, baby. 'Cause if you're ever in trouble, I'll be there on the double. Just send for me, oh baby. Ha! My love is alive, way down in my heart. Although we are miles apart, and if you ever need a helping hand, I'll be there on the double, just as fast as I can. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you.
That was Ain't No Mountain High Enough with Socorra. Hey, Socorra, how are you doing?
Hey, good. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. I like warmth, and my wife likes cold, so she loves Seattle. Like, she gets like 8 months of the year, and I get about the remainder. And so I'm in my time now, so I'm perfectly
Yeah.
happy.
Awesome.
And now you were in San Jose, where I grew up, but you're no longer
Yes.
there anymore. Tell us a bit about that.
I'm no longer in San Ho. Yeah, I moved to Austin in January of 2021, this current year. It's the 2020 and 2021 are like really blurry sometimes for me. They feel like just one really, really long year mixed together. But yeah, I moved in January. My good friend Adira Sharkey drove out with me. And yeah, I'm just living with some of my family members right now and making my way.
Nice. You do any gigs out there?
I did one. I played, what day was that? The 27th of June at a spot in South Austin called Far Out Lounge. It was like a singer-songwriter type night, and they had a bunch of food trucks in their parking lot area. So that was super cool. I had some family come out that I hadn't seen in a long time that live in kind of the smaller towns around Austin. And then just friends who live here as well came out. So that was cool. It was a really like low pressure type of first gig. And I was just praying that I wouldn't forget lyrics too much or anything like that. And I hadn't done a show since November. I did like a farewell show from the Art Boutique in November of 2020. So that's the last time I played. So I was pretty nervous, but it went really well.
Nice. I always think of myself as, on the kind of fringe. I never learned how to properly play guitar. I can play just enough to kind of write a song or keyboard.
Yeah.
And I'm always thinking, oh, I'm nervous. I'm going to be rusty and go out. And then someone like you, who's like awesome singer, songwriter, performer, to hear that you feel rusty to me is just mind blowing. It's like, what? You get rusty too?
Yes, rusty like a box of nails you found in your garage, under something like under a sled or behind your lawnmower or just something. You're cleaning out your house and you're like, wow, I bought these box of nails 10 years ago. And that's how I felt. I felt like a lost box of rusty nails in a garage. But it really could not have gone better. I was the whole time in between songs, or like when I was tuning or when I was playing instrumental parts, I was like, oh my God, it's really happening. I'm like doing it. Like, oh my gosh. And trying not to get too caught up in that to where I was fumbling over my words. And my friend Kaylin came up and sang with me for a couple songs. So that was really cool. The weather had finally cooled down a little bit. So it seemed like the perfect storm of elements, for a first kind of introduction show, um, as an Austin resident now.
Now, you struck on something I've never talked about to anybody else, but this out of body experience that you have when you're performing, where
Yeah.
your body is, doing the singing and playing, but there's another part of your brain that's like independent of that.
Yeah.
And you can be thinking about what you're doing. Oh, the next song is going to be this, and hey, that person in the third row smiled. I gotta give them a look and wave, and all this sort of strategic thinking. What's that like for you? Is that all the time, or can you turn that off sometimes?
Um, uh, uh, Gosh, well, I haven't played in so long that I think it was like particularly on fire that evening. But I think sometimes I can get a little too caught up in that part of it. And maybe that's where some of the fumbles come in some if anyone's seen me perform before, that that's happened more than once
What?
during a show. And maybe it's part of like the show. Maybe it's just become part of past shows I've done where, there's going to be some sort of fumble, but like, let's just brush it off because there's no perfection, at all. But I think sometimes it's hard for me to separate it and not get ahead of myself and be like, okay, then I'm going to play this song, and then in between the next song, then I'm going to tune and blah blah blah. I mean, I've done shows where I've written all of that out on a set list, like tune here, talk about this here, um, don't do this here, turn around and point to this person here, cue this band member during this. And I think sometimes that is way too much for me. And I'm like, oh, that's why there's a music director. That's probably not the lead singer. That's probably why there's, and I should just have a music director if I'm going to do that type of show again, just so I don't get overwhelmed. But then sometimes it's like a really peaceful out of body type thing where I'm like what happened to me at my first show here, where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happening. Like, this is so cool. Wow. And it's much more of a positive experience versus like, what's the next thing that's going to happen? What's the next thing? It's very much like more of a present acknowledgement of what's happening.
Do you ever write down on your set list, look natural and like that, look natural, not like this has all been pre-planned?
No, because I'll read the set list and I will read it again and again. And I've typed it out and I'm the one who prints it and I'm the one who gives it to people. And I just get nervous. I know there's some people, or like a lot of artists will say, like, I feel really at home on the stage. I sometimes I really don't. But it's some sort of weird, like, every time I get up there, it's kind of like acknowledging the hard parts, that I find in music, and just trying to like push through or like get to the other side or learn something from this experience. Because everything can't be easy. That's not how life works. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right? So, um, yeah, I think sometimes I can get really caught up in that planning part of the music business, or the business part of music. But hopefully I can delegate that a little bit better in my time here in Austin.
If you're listening, Martial Law Band here in Seattle, music director. Listen what Socorra is talking about with music director. I've been consulting with the band up here, and they're
Oh, cool.
currently trying to figure out how to take that next step of having a
Yeah.
music director. And I find, the mythology around the artist and the singer, songwriter, musician performance is so high. People don't realize there's this whole team around you to make that happen
Hmm.
at that next
Yeah.
level. And it's, as a human being, you can only do so much. And
Yeah.
if you're doing 20 things, you're probably not doing all of them strong.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And um, my friend Jonathan used to play keyboards and sing some backups for me, and he's been a music director before, so very much I would look to him to make like decisions about what we are going to do, or does this sound right? Should we do this song here, or should we actually flip to this moment, or should we change the ending? So I definitely relied on him a lot for direction. But I think, and I'm still learning this, and my job right now, my day job that I have right now, is teaching me this every moment that I'm at the school. But that good leaders delegate, and they delegate not so that they're not like doing any work at all, but they're delegating what work that they know other people can do, and can do it really, really well. And it's probably something that's in that person's wheelhouse a lot better than my own wheelhouse. And I can do what I'm really good at, and they can do what they're really good at. Um, and I think as far as like finding a music director for when I put a band together here in town, I think that's going to be something I look for in a person, is someone who's, slightly more on the businessy side, like I am, so that we can talk about these things, but um, has that like educator kind of mindset. I think as a music director, I think that's probably what I'll be looking for. But delegating, like who's going to be at your merch table while you're on stage, or while you need to use the restroom, or go grab something from your car or something. I think that stuff's really important and really helps de-stress shows. Because then, you got, the show is not over until you're in your car driving home. That's how I feel about shows. Like as soon as I get to the venue and I'm meeting the sound person and I'm doing sound check, and as soon as I get there, the show's on, and the show does not stop until I drive home. So it's just a constant, output of energy, and making sure that you put people in place to help you run that show as best as possible, I think is great for like your mental health during performances.
Stage manager.
Especially. Yeah. Stage manager, a music director, um, just people you trust to help you out. I think is super important, aside from your band members.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. The difference between I went and did a performance versus I went and did a show. Right? You can get up there and just
Yeah.
play and perform, but performance is part of the show. Once you get a stage manager, managing logistics, and a music director who can sort of manage the context of which everything is happening, and maybe even say, oh, look, we're playing this town and they're really into trip hop right now. Can we put a trip hop beat behind that? I know you hate trip hop, but it might just kill it in that song. And you can have the Suzanne Vega moment, right? Where a band, a completely different band, organization, group musicians put a dance beat behind an a cappella piece that she did with her, that she would do before playing acoustic guitar, and it blew her career to the next level. So someone that has distance and can look at, like you said, the business end, how does this fit into the business of what I'm doing, versus this is what I like to do, this is my art, and I'm going to keep it pure and just perform my art. People will like me or not. That's a very different mindset.
I mean, and I think both are valid. Both are totally fine. It's however you want to do music, do it. I think for me, my brain is so for as like not great at making spreadsheets and stuff as I am, I'm all about making spreadsheets and like lists and writing things down and trying to be as organized as possible. And so I think like when I started writing my own songs, my quickly after that, my intention kind of went from, I'm just going to write these to, I want to share these. Okay, how do I share these? And this is like before Spotify. I think Bandcamp had just started. MySpace Music was still a thing. So I think when you switch to that mentality of how do I share this music, you're like undoubtedly going to end up learning parts of the business side of music, because you're DIY. You have to figure out how to get my music onto a Bandcamp. Okay, I got to make a Bandcamp thing. I got to make sure I remember the password. I got to set up the profile, things like that. I got to set up a PayPal so people can pay me. How much do I charge them? Even if you only ever have a Bandcamp page, that's part of the music business. I mean, you could just give it all away for free, but you still have to set up the website. You still have to denote that it's free. So I think that's the switch I made, but that wasn't until I was probably like 24, 25,
Okay.
maybe.
And how long into when did you start
guitar
doing music?
Or a toddler?
Okay. All right. So
a toddler.
So it seems late in your career at 24. For some people, they might be like, yeah, that seems early in your career. I'm going to show behind the scenes of Coming Home to show a bit of what the production that you do on stuff is.
Oh, it's a video. Keep on trying.
There it is.
Keep on trying. Right. Keep on trying. Keep on trying.
So that was a little sample of, you got a bunch of people in the studio playing different instruments. You got a vocal group, and this is where a musical director usually is present saying, okay, we're going to arrange it this way, and giving some context. Did you do the musical direction for Coming Home?
Yeah, for the EP, I would say a music director for me is the on-stage person. And I would say in the studio, I think you would probably call that a producer. It's probably better known as a producer. I think that definitely I was lead producer, but there was a lot of co-production involved, especially that gospel choir part. A lot of that was Ren Giesig's idea of like how we were going to record it. Like, let's just use one microphone. We'll sing 4-part harmony. And the way we were standing, it was like Ren, myself, and Steely Nash. And we would do one pass of the low harmony. And then we would switch, and Steely would be on my right and I'd be on the end, and Ren would be in the middle. So that there would always be, for each harmony, there would be a very strong presence of each of our voices with each other on the side, if that makes any sense. So sure. When we had all the tracks total, it was probably like 30 something backup tracks. But when you listen to that song playing at the end, it sounds like a massive choir. And we were so excited about it because you think, okay, I'm going to stack vocal harmonies. Cool. And in the studio, obviously, it sounds like we have a 30-person choir and we only had 3 people. But it's the way in which it was recorded, the time, the way we were feeling, the harmonies chosen. I think a lot of that, there's a lot of like on the spot type stuff that happens in the studio. But that was a really fun project. Of course, that's 2019 when that's happening. And so there's no pandemic in sight.
It's just yesterday, right?
Clear skies. Yeah. It's just clear skies and rock and roll. Oh, I'm gonna write that down. Actually, that's a good T-shirt idea.
Yeah, the clear skies.
This is what
and
happens
rock and roll.
To me.
You watched
clear skies and rock and roll.
And earlier you did the Rusty Nails
literally
thing.
Writing it. Yeah.
So
clear skies and rock and roll. And this is what happens. So this is like a parking receipt. And my notebook somewhere else. And clear skies and rock and roll. Oh my God, I love it.
Clear skies and rock and roll. We got Rusty Nails in the back of the garage. We've got Hot Rain from earlier.
Hot Rain.
Now, so folks, if you want to hear "Coming Home" with the full choir and all the layers Socorra is talking about here, check out her music, Bandcamp, your favorite platforms. I'm sure it's all up there to hear that full choir. But I'm going to show a video of you guys doing "Coming Home" live.
Cool.
Don't be afraid for me, I'm coming home soon. I think I left a piece of me somewhere on the moon, to keep my dreams from falling asleep and leave me all alone. So my dreams don't fall asleep while my days roll. But don't be afraid for me, 'cause I'm coming home soon. Don't be afraid for me, just need something I can sink my feet into. Maybe space is all we need, the people we love most, so we can rest our hearts and reset our souls. Gain a little perspective and try to grow our minds. Figure out where we go between the lines. But don't be afraid of me, 'cause I'm coming home soon. Don't be afraid for me, just need something I can throw my fears into. Don't be afraid for me, 'cause I'm coming home soon. Coming home soon. Places we go, it's the people that we know. Though my heart aches to go, I just wanna be with the people I call Don't be afraid for me, 'cause I'm coming home soon. Thank you guys.
You're watching Sunday Live with Caleb and Joe. Our guest today is Socorra, and we are entering the Humble Rumble. All right. So I see Ren was there, and Ren's been on the show. And check out a previous episode, folks, if you didn't see Ren's episode. So, in all this journey that you've been on since you were a little spry till now, I'm sure you've had many humbling experiences. Uh, what is one that really helped you build your craft?
Oh, excellent question. First of all, acknowledge an excellent question when one is asked upon you. Um, Something that helped me grow my craft. Um, so I think when we were first talking about this question, I was under the impression that it was like almost name a time you really messed up and you were humbled by it. But I probably did mess up during these series of shows, but I look back on this time period so fondly, because I learned a couple of things. So, moment was April of 2017. If you're in San Jose and you remember the old Forager, there were a series of shows that my friend Chris Pounders and I put on. We produced a bunch of singer-songwriter shows, actually months before April. And it was super DIY. It was before Forager was remodeled, and it was really dingy and gross in there, and like only half the bathrooms worked. And there was a bunch of couches from Sofa Street Fair that were being stored in there. So it had a really cool vibe. I really, really dug it. And I'm glad we have a couple photos. But Chris and I put on these shows, and they were so simple. It was a rug that my mom had bought me at the grocery outlet to be like my stage, and it had like the non-stick stuff on the bottom, so it was a portable stage, so to speak. So I brought that Forager. I had all these like dollar store lights, I had a cajon, and we had some lamps, and there was one strand of like outdoor lights that were set up already in Forager and nothing else. Dark and dingy, smelly. And Chris and I set up, we had like a 4-input mixer, 2 speakers on 2 stands, and, a couple of mics. And that's it. And tons of artists came through and played. And I think for me, when I think back about that time period and doing those shows, it was like I was just meeting a bunch of people in San Jose, and I was just finding my footing as myself. In work and in music. And, one of my most favorite things to do is to build community and bring people together. And that was a moment in time for me that will always kind of stay up there, because I learned a lot of lessons about building community and what it really means. And there was just so many different types of artists that passed through, because I just asked everyone I knew, and we all played different styles of music, but it was just like my Rolodex of local artists. And anyone I knew at the time, I was like, hey, Chris and I are doing these like shows in this dingy brick building on First Street. You want to play? And they're like, okay, and I think that was just a really like sweet time, a time of learning how to put DIY shows together and how to make connections, and how to put on shows with little to no gear, and that you don't, there's always that gear acquisition syndrome that artists get.
I wouldn't know
get
anything about that.
I wouldn't know anything about. I have it right now. Look at all this. But that you only need like, I don't forget who says it first, but like 3 chords in the truth, and you really only need like one microphone and one input and a story to share. And that's what was really awesome about that time period. So I look back on that moment, like those moments, that year, really fondly.
And how did that perfect your craft after?
I think that the craft is going to never be perfect. But I think what it did is it was a healthy dose of learning how other people write songs and what song structure is for them, and kind of absorbing that knowledge and trying to use that in my own songwriting with my own twist. So for instance, Coming Home Soon, the song that we just watched, that was a song that I wrote 2016, I think, maybe. And it was me trying to emulate another band's song. And I was trying to learn their song and then only learned half of it. Not a local artist, but that type of mentality where you're taking influence from other artists and constantly the observer, constantly the learner, and using that to write your own music. So I still think I have a long way to go. And again, there's no perfection in the craft, but I think it made the craft exciting. That's what it was, igniting this thing to like keep creating, keep going, keep building, making connections, making music, making friends, meeting people in the community. So I think that's what it started doing for my craft, and has continued to, be something really fruitful and something that I'm looking forward to doing in a totally different way here in Austin. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but there's some excitement and deep-seated fear that happens, when you're starting over, and making new friends as an adult is like really hard, and no one tells you that it is, but they're all lying, because it is. And even for me, I think people think I'm really, really extroverted, but I've learned that I'm pretty extroverted introvert. So I really like my alone time. I like being by myself. I went to a show yesterday by myself, and that was really like scary because I didn't know anybody, but it was also really cool. It was really cool.
There's new connections.
Does that answer your question?
There's no right answer, just like there's no right song.
There you go.
And you've got Jack. So Jack's there. Jack Charles is there in Austin. So I don't
know Jack. So we'll know. Now we know. Now we will know each other.
That's right. You came to be on the show through Tim, not through Balanced Breakfast.
Correct. Even though I have done Balanced Breakfast South by Southwest showcases before.
Okay. All right. Well, Jack.
But I never
Socorra,
met Jack. So hi, Jack.
You guys are both in Austin now. Get to know each other. Jack's been performing in Austin, doing shows. Check out his YouTube channel with his videos. Really cool stuff. And so we live on this show, we made your first Austin artist connection for doing live shows. Yes.
Yay.
We've done our job. Cool. All right. I'm going to show another video. This is Muddy Water.
This muddy water. Been bruised on bloody knees, in the shadows looking for the light. Been wrong in the dirty water. Oh, heaven, won't you hear me cry? Gotta get out, get out, get out. This muddy water. muddy water.
That was Muddy Water by Socorra. We are here with Socorra today on the show, and I wanted to ask a question. When we were testing audio, you had said it was, hot rain in Austin today, and that you were out walking in muddy water. So here's the song you did some time ago, right?
Yeah.
And here's this experience you're having today, and maybe two different places in the country. What do you see the relationship between the real world and the world of the songs that you sing?
Ooh, another excellent question. Ah, God, the relationship. I think that they can happen like on the same plane, if that makes on the same level, if that makes any sense. Muddy Water was written about a couple of different situations put together, but the gist of it is that you're stuck in a bad place, whatever that is. You're having just like a really rough go of it, and just desperately trying to climb out of that, whatever that is for you. And I think that it was happening to me in that moment. Several little things were happening to me to make that song feel really, really real and extremely painful at the time. And then as I've gotten away from the song, other moments, other really difficult moments, other like muddy water type moments have happened. But I'm no longer as emotionally tied to the song, if that makes any sense. I've gotten distance from it and perspective, looking at it from a different angle, or higher above or something like that. But I think that, I had someone tell me once that she thinks that we can sometimes write our futures in our songs. And I thought that was really trippy when she said that. And at the time I had written Coming Home Soon. And I hadn't decided, that was years before I had finally decided to move anywhere, so that was really, really trippy, because it's like you're pulling something that's like deep down inside of you up to the surface. I think that's what songwriting can do. And it doesn't have to be just about one moment. It doesn't have to be something extremely personal to you. It can just be something that you've heard walking about, but it triggers you in such a way that you have some sort of emotional reaction to write about it. And whether or not it becomes a song that you share in the general public or not, I think that, that happens to songwriters a lot. But yeah, I think the real world and your song world can be very much the same world. Obviously, people write songs about all sorts of things that they've never done or experienced, but they're just really good storytellers. But that doesn't mean that it's not a valid experience for somebody else.
You get to bear witness through the song to what you've gone through.
Right. Yeah.
Because I hear this, David Bowie famously said in the 2000s, I don't write autobiographies.
Yeah.
People say,
Yeah.
oh, what, David, that song, was very painful, or that was very happy. What were you happy about? And he goes, it's not about me. The song came to me. I wrote it and I sing it. And so for him, he felt very associated to the songs he wrote, but not connected. He was a storyteller. And for me, my stuff tends to be about my life experiences. It's much has a much direct connection. So I'm always fascinated by, what the range is for different artists. And it sounds like you not only see a combination of both, but you have a sense of something that took me years to have. Certainly at your age, I was not thinking about how I was writing my future. So I think that's really cool that you have a sense of that, because absolutely, yes, you go back and you see this work and you're kind of like, am I recontextualizing this work? Because it
Yeah.
seems to have predicted where I'm standing right now, and that was 20 years ago.
Well, I think, they do call it the circle of life, right? And I think a lot of things are really cyclical. And I've tripped out reading journal entries from my time in the Peace Corps because I'm a really big like journaler, and dating everything. And if I look back on this day in the year 2011, there might be things that were really similar. Obviously, I wasn't doing an interview on Zoom. I had no internet, but I was probably talking about music with someone. Maybe I was teaching and didn't know that I would later become a teacher, a couple of years later. So I think, yeah, I don't know. It's a trip. I would say that I've been talking to Ren and Adira about this, but I think sometimes when I'm writing songs, I want them to be like so stuck to the truth, like so personal and so truthful, but like not reveal too much. That I don't finish songs. It's really hard for me to finish songs. I'm really slow songwriter. Lyrically, music, it comes to me really quick. Like I'll just write instrumentals all day, every day. They come. The lyric part I get really, really hung up on. So I'm trying to work on, what did Adira say? Like, finish the song and kind of write it from the perspective of like what you wish yourself to really, really say, even if it's not part of like what had actually happened, something like that, just to get you to finish the song. And again, it doesn't have to be a song that you release, but it's like the act of starting a project and finishing a project and that practice. And that's really difficult for me, especially like right now with, I moved like 5 months ago, but moving, and I was talking to Steely Nash about this, moving is really difficult, whether or not you're moving for really great reasons or you're moving because you have to for, crappy reasons. It's really tough to pick up your life and move. Like we're not as nomadic creatures as we, once were. So I packed up my Honda Fit and drove my butt out here with basically all my music gear and some clothes and some journals, like that's crazy to me that I was able to pare down that much. But I guess those are the only things that were really, of true value and importance to me. But yeah, I think, it's been difficult to find brain space to write songs, let alone time to like, kind of take my personal self out of it a little bit to finish the story. And maybe not have it be so first person. Use some other pronouns, throw some characters in there, type of thing. So I'm still learning how to, kind of write that kind of way, kind of have that style, and that forgiveness I haven't yet mastered. Versus Adira, she'll just pop out songs like nobody's business. And I'm like,
yeah. There's always someone else that does it in a different way. And she's the thing I tell artists who I consult with, I said, look, you can finish the song and you can always rewrite it. Just,
right.
So it's not like, I got to finish the song perfectly. Just finish for the act of finishing it, put it on the shelf, and then come back and go, this is how I would change that. If I could go back in time, I would change it this way. Well, guess what you get to? And then folks will say, well, yeah, once I recorded it, released. Yeah, we're in the 21st century. 2.0 version of the song. Re-release it. You can pull it, you can re-release it, you can remix. I used to always love listening to live album versions of songs because they would be different. They would have an extra lyric, or maybe they would flub up the lyric and be more interesting, or the arrangement was different. And you can do all of that now. So just kind of take the pressure off yourself and get it, like you said, get that sense of completion. And the more that you get to sense of completion is no longer a barrier for you mentally. Then go back and rework it. And it's the, that's 2.0 version of it.
Yeah. Like I had a writing professor in college say that writing is a constant revision process. And I try to remember that every time I start. And I do get really hung up on like, this is the version, this is the one. I already wrote it, I recorded it, it's out there, people know. it's done. On to the next, on to the next. But it would be really interesting. You're giving me another idea. I will write it on my notes for today, along with Clear Skies and Rock and Roll. But to almost like, you know, a remix album in the sense that or a rearrangement of your own songs. Like if I had to do it again, here's how I would, you know, maybe the second verse, I actually wouldn't have a second verse or something like that. You know, it'd be kind of interesting to see, you know, 10 years from now when, you know, I go into the studio to re-record Coming Home Soon, am I going to do it the exact same way? Because a lot of that guitar stuff that I wrote, the electric guitar stuff, that was just like in the studio off the cuff kind of thing. Because I'm not like a shredding guitar player. I really like really clean guitar, like Motown-esque, kind of catchy riffs. So anytime I write lead guitar parts, I always lean that direction. So it would kind of be nice to redo that song and not lean in that direction. Maybe that just means having someone else, you know, put their spin on it.
One of my favorite songs is Robert Palmer, and it's called Woke Up Laughing. And there's an album version. I think this is maybe 1980 when this album came out. And obviously they produced the album with what technology they had at the time. And it uses this polyrhythm of a 4/4 and 3/4 playing at the same time. It's a technique, you know, from West Africa and used in the Caribbean. And you get this tumbling feel with these two different rhythms happening. And he just riffs on the top of it. Well, then they toured for a couple of years, and then they went back in the studio after those tours and re-recorded that song, and it's so much tighter, and it had the arrangement so much more lush and whatnot. And then you go back and hear the first one, which I really liked when I heard it, and you go, oh wow, that's different. It feels mechanical, like they said, okay, we're going to do this in this technique way, and we're going to get it recorded, But after playing it live, they lived in it and felt it. And when they came back to re-record it, it does not feel, oh, here's 4/4 against 3/4, and we did tape loops and whatever. It just feels like this really cool vibe, and it's like loosened up. So
that's a really Robert Palmer songs were like my first drum songs. I would like practice drumming to like his records. Yeah, my dad would just listen to him, and I wanted to start playing drums. And so I think, you know, most kids probably start with like AC/DC, but I started with Robert Palmer. I just, you know, Simply Irresistible. I love that drum part. It's so tight. It's so tight. And to this day, like whenever I have a chance to drum, I usually put on a couple of his tracks to just see if I remember how they go. But
well, after the show,
it's funny you bring up Robert Palmer. People don't talk about him as much as they should. He's a cool dude.
I think because of in the United States, because Simply Irresistible and whatever the follow-up one that was very similar, those songs were such big MTV hits. People thought that's just what he was. And that actually was late in his career, and he did Jamaican music and lived in the Caribbean and did pop, rock, and all sorts of stuff. But I'll send you the link to that particular song. And we're having this connection. So it's 6:00. So it is time for the Mystic Moment where we check in with the audience. Hey, everybody. You know the Mystic Moment? This week's theme is Follow Your Passion. As you've been hearing on our interview with Socorra, she has a passion for what she is doing. She's allowing herself to do that passion. It's not coming easy. As she said, music is coming easy, but finishing a song and coming up with the lyrics is not. Now, for me, I can write lyrics till the cows come home and set that to music. It's getting the music produced and polished and out the door. That's my real challenge. And there have been times when I thought about giving it up because that part of the process is such a challenge for me. Well, you have a different challenge in your life that is blocking you in fully realizing or exploring your passions, just take some time this week and think about how you might be able to unlock that. And it may be something you start doing with yourself, going to the gym, doing yoga, watching a TV series that inspires you and makes you want to turn off the TV series and go do your passion. Life is short. So if you have a passion, follow it, explore it. And if you are stuck, text me on Facebook. Reach out to Socorra. Find her on Facebook, give her a shout out and say, hey, I'm stuck with this. I heard during the show you said this and that. Reach out to people. I'm an introvert, so I had to learn over time to reach out to others. Socorra was talking about the show she did where she just created a framework, and that framework was really created by a carpet, a dollar store carpet, and setting it and calling people and saying, hey, I've set up this framework. Will you come play in it? Amazing things come out of collaboration that you'll never expect, and it might just knock down that wall so you can follow your passion. That's your mystic moment for the week. So
But actually, oh wait, no sound. Audio dropped after the last transition. It wouldn't be a live stream.
Oh, okay. Is the audio? Yeah. Okay, hold on. I think I've got it here. I see. Interesting. For some reason, my mic. Hello. Is it back?
Can you hear us both?
Okay, so
Hello.
got it. Okay.
Tim says sounds good again.
I can work around this. For some reason, every single show, I take the previous show and I copy it forward so that whatever fixes I put in, copy forward. And yet, OBS always does something a little different. So this week, because we were talking about how there didn't seem to be any gremlins at the beginning of the show. And I'm like, I know they always show up. Usually I have to fix things for 20 minutes before the show. This week, the gremlin is... hold on. This week is some of this scene later in the show no longer has my microphone as one of the items in it. So we'll just pop back and forth.
Cool.
We're going to make this work, folks.
Cool.
So, yeah, that totally threw me off my game. I was on a roll. We're talking some mystical things. So, making sure it's okay that people were able to contact you if they're blocked in their passion.
Oh yeah, just reach out. You can just ping me to people. I say ping me at work a lot. So what I mean is you can send a message on Facebook or you can DM me on Instagram. Instagram, honestly, is probably better. I'm not on Facebook a lot because I forget my password often. So I don't have it on my phone anymore. Spent too much time on the app on my phone, so I got rid of it.
I didn't know you could message on Instagram.
Yeah, you can send a direct message. Though actually, I lied. I have Facebook Messenger, so you can message me like through my music thing, and I have Messenger. Messenger's useful. But nobody writes on people's walls anymore. But when that was a thing, if that was a thing now, I would never get anybody's messages. If anyone writes on my wall, I would never see them.
Well, speaking of mystical things, this track is called Believe. We're going to show another video.
All right.
That was Something to Believe. Actually, it's just called Believe. And that is by Socorra. You are watching Sunday Live with myself, Caleb. We're bringing you shows every week with artists and musicians and writers from 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific. We do have 2 more episodes of this season. Next week will be Lost Puppy Forever. I've been wanting to do an episode about punk rock because we've been 65 episodes. We've not covered the subject. So they are going to be our punk rock band. If you were always curious what punk rock was about, I think they're very fun. Check out that episode. And then we're going to wrap up the season with a closing episode from Big Music Energy, which is Ed Clare and George Ann Ireland. And they've been on the show. Well, actually, Ed hasn't. He doesn't know it, but I've actually done interviews with him that I'm going to cut up to make a show in the fall. So check that out if you're a musician or creative and you want to find out about the production process. They coach musicians and produce them to final recordings and get them out on major labels and all that fun stuff. So you don't want to miss that episode. All right, we're going to move into the after party right now. Hey everybody, we're here with Socorra in the after party. We have more videos for you, more interview for you, and more, well, opportunity for insight. So we had a little gremlin happen right after the Mystic Moment. And I thought, given what we were saying earlier about sort of mistakes or things that happen that give you insight, maybe the gremlins were just telling me to listen more.
Maybe. Good twist.
Yeah,
Good twist.
yeah. You have to look at everything and say, what is the opportunity here? What is the message here that I could take home? Yeah, I just think that
Right. Isn't that the saying? Like what's the, I don't know. I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately with all, like, some of the rough goes I've been having. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to learn here? Because right now what I'm learning is that I'm really frustrated or whatever the situation is. But what's like the deeper, what's really going on? So far haven't discovered any of it yet, but I'm really hoping that if I keep asking the question, some sort of answer will pop up at some point.
And having
frustration can be the cusp of brilliance.
There you go.
There you go.
That is classic Joe there. And for myself, I used to get like with like a pit bull, like lockjaw on things, and I just chew on them and chew on them, make myself miserable. And more and more over the years, I've gone, oh, right. I'm forgetting. Let's remember, this is just a conversation. Oh, okay.
Right. Chill out. Yeah.
Chill out. Let this just come to me, because you can't force things. It never works. And you can push things, like, pushing through a barrier, but forcing typically just locks everything up. And when you've moved, you've shaken your whole tree. You've pulled your roots out of the ground and you've replanted the tree in new soil, and that takes time. You can carve out a bit of, your gear and your clothes. That's like a bit of that potted plant soil that comes with around the roots that you're planting in the new place. But the roots maybe before were 10 feet out from the tree, and now they're contained just in that potted soil. It takes time to rebuild those roots.
Yeah, it takes time. And I think, I have to constantly remind myself that it's like, okay to be slow, to slow down. And I know for like a lot of folks last year during lockdown, it was so abrupt. What happened to everyone that we came to a halt. But for me, it's the just keeping that more of like a healthy pace and not trying to like rush things. I think before the first show here, I for a while was was thinking that, this is like the best time to move because I don't feel rushed to jump into the Austin scene right now because I can't, because I just moved and I need to like get some things organized and, kind of like more of logistical reasons why. But I think some of it also permeated to be, take the form of like fear of starting over and being a freshman again and being the new kid on the block and now being a smaller fish in a bigger pot, all those types of things. But that show was really relaxing in a lot of ways and kind of, lit a little bit of a spark to just, slowly start putting myself out there and seeing what happens. And I think I know that whatever music I'm going to make while I'm in Austin, the path to get to the third EP or maybe a full length album, who knows? Most likely an EP at the rate I'm writing songs, which is an old snail's pace. The process to get there will be different. It will not be anything like how it was in San Jose because I'm not working with the same people anymore. We're not in our. I have no rhythm right now, so like trying to find rhythm, find people to work with. The songs are going to sound different. They're going to be talking about different things, working with different people, being in it's just, but it's all going to be, a part of me. It's still going to be me. It's just going to be different. And I think there has to be like a forgiveness of yourself and that too, of like, being okay with letting that change happen at whatever pace it's going to happen, which is really difficult for me. Like I want to be right now where I was in San Jose right now, but I can't. And I need to just like chill out, slow down and just let the chips, fall and let things happen as they will. And all in due time. Long story short, all in due time.
No. I mean, that's what the after party is all about, is kind of digging deeper in the experience of working your craft and developing as a musician. Maybe you put a product out and now that's old and you're working on a new piece, whatever you're discovering in yourself. And it just occurred to me that so much of what you're doing is partnering with musicians, right? You're talking about your writing as a challenge, but you've got a body of work that you can do a show, either of your own writings and covers that you've adapted to your sound. But what you don't have right now is like a community who has committed to show up at every show and play drums, show up at every show and play keyboards, right? It's like,
right.
How do you schedule those events if you don't have the musician community that you're used to having around you?
Right. Well, I play solo. I was always playing, like, even though I had a backing band back home, I was still always taking solo gigs just so I could play more shows because I didn't have to coordinate with other people. It was just myself. Like, can I fit this into my life right now? Yeah, cool. I'm going to go play. And so I think it's developing a different, I'm just adjusting my headphones here. I think it's just developing a different type of musicianship. I'm a different, type of musician. My relationship, I guess, sorry, let me start over. My relationship with my songs feels a little bit different when it's just me performing them versus when I'm with the band. I'm constantly talking with other musicians. I mean, obviously, any musicians out there, when you play with a band, you're not like talking to them on stage, necessarily like, hey guys, key change coming up. Like there's a lot of this unspoken, stuff that's happening. That's kind of a learned behavior that happens on stage. But yeah, if that makes any sense, I think like right now, I'm just looking forward to just meeting new people. And if I end up putting a band together in town, like a regular band, like cool. If I just put together a couple of artists to play some band shows, once in a while, that's cool too. But at the end of the day, I have to steer the ship. So I have to get my head straight. I have to get my game on. I have to want to play and just get myself prepared. And and that's just going to take time. So first step is that, and meeting some new folks, and then maybe eventually playing some sort of full band show. But I'm not putting any pressure on myself to like do that by a certain date, because it's going to take a while. It's going to be tough, like teaching people songs that people back home, they just like already know how to play. That's tough too. But that's why you write charts out.
You write charts out, and the good news is you videotaped some
Right.
performances, and you have music videos so they can
Mhm.
watch and you say, go learn this.
Yeah, and I've recorded every single band rehearsal I have had over the last 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
I'm a note taker. I'm a big note taker. So every rehearsal, I record everything. Voice memos, let me just show you all, but voice memos of like not finished songs, but I don't know if you can see that, if the lighting's terrible. But okay, well, maybe I should go in the dark mode. Anyways, I wish you could take like a ticker count of whatchamacallit, of here we go, dark mode. I almost forgot how to do it. There we go. Can we see this? There we go.
Yep.
These just endless. This is not band recordings. I record band recordings like on a separate like Zoom recorder thing. But these are ideas, parts, random things that pop into my head. Most of them are less than a minute. And it's just that spark that happens when you're, like, oh, that riff sounds really cool. Record it just so you have it. Whether or not it becomes something, because oftentimes I don't remember it afterwards. It's just something that's just flying through, briefly stopping for a pit stop in my brain, and whether or not I choose to pick it up.
I'm going to make some notes.
You have to capture it before it goes away.
Yeah, exactly. It's like catching fireflies or something.
Yes. Glory is fleeting, and so is inspiration.
Yeah. And I think that's like the spiritual part of music and songwriting, is that it is so like temporary, I guess. Even though we're making something that is on like a fixed medium, I suppose we could, I guess as long as people can still download music, there will be like a more permanent fixed medium. But I don't know if I can say that about streaming. Who knows what that's going to be like. But for now, these are our fixed mediums. So it's such a temporary process when we're writing it that turns into just such a permanent thing. And that's really trippy to me.
I'm going to do another quote. In I think 2004, David Bowie said, "Music is going to be like electricity or water. It's just going to flow down the line." And that's exactly where we're at with streaming. You mentioned this permanence, and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, my dad asked where his CDs were the other day. That's a moment of permanence. Yes, downloads are still available, but I don't know that people are downloading anymore. Everybody's streaming. Everything's just flowing, and it's like your own personal radio, tuning in, whether it's unpaid Spotify where they randomize it, like more like a radio station, or whether or not you pay into a service where you can actually play a full album. Everything's just present. You turn on the light switch and it flows. What is your feeling about, or how does that change? How has that change influence what you do? For example, you said EP, someday I'll have an album. I'm like, why have an album? Just release singles. They become a part of the churn of the electricity. Then they're gathering them up. I think Tim knows a gal. She did like 5 songs, like 5 singles, and then did a 6th song and made that into an EP. And then she did 5 more singles, and then did the 12th song, and then took the released an EP, and then 6 months later put the 2 EPs in the album. Well,
so that's the business part. So I might get some flack for this, but I understand on the business side why you would release singles, because everyone has the attention span of like 0 seconds. So constantly feeding the monster, and so I understand that. I think I like EPs because I think it's a really nice like handshake with the artist of like, hey, here's some music. And I think it gives a slightly more complete picture that's not too overwhelming. And I think sometimes when we release just singles, we don't give enough credit to listeners to like sit down and really like dig your stuff. Because for me, for artists that I really like, I will sit there. Actually, I'll lay on the floor. I really like to lay on the floor and just put headphones on and listen to the whole album or the whole EP front to back, and become obsessed with it for a couple of weeks, and then eventually learn the lyrics, because I'm always music forward. So I'm like, oh, that's a cool beat, that's a cool guitar line, what's this song talking about, like, does it like, perhaps that's why it takes me so long to write lyrics, because it's like the last thing I think about. But yeah, I think it's like two different things. I understand on the business side why you would want to release singles and kind of that strategy, and I've definitely played with it in my own head about doing that kind of for the next thing. But I don't know. I have friends who release singles, all the time, and I think it's just doing what feels right for you and your music community. Meaning like your support base, your fan base. And I think for me, I just like releasing EPs. Now I've only released 2, so I'm talking as if I have like an anthology of, or like an epic discography, which I don't.
One note here for folks that don't know what an EP is, it stands for extended play. So back in the day, you would have singles that had 2 songs, one on each side, and then they would maybe do a 45 single that you would play at a slower speed that would have 4 songs, and that was an extended play. And then 12-inch extended plays came out. And so today, EPs typically mean the artist has compiled like 4 to 6 songs onto one like mini album.
So it's not I think when I first was like, wait, extended play, but it's shorter than an LP. Wait, what? But does that make sense?
Play.
Like the whole, there is a business strategy behind releasing singles. I think. I mean, there's also the creative flow where it's like finish a project, release a project, onto the next project. But I think there's so much of the business part in that decision making.
So many people are listening through Spotify. I hear about Spotify from the artists that I consult with, and I'm like, you do know Spotify's not going to do anything for you. I mean, monetarily speaking. But if you sell like 100 CDs or 100 download cards or something, you're going to get a greater financial return than Spotify. But it's where people are going, so you have to be in the house with where people want to look, because they look you up and they say, "Oh, why aren't you here? You're missing. You're gone."
Yeah.
So with Spotify, the policy is for every release, whether it's a single, an EP, or an album, you get to promote 1 song.
Yeah.
So you release the track out into the stream weeks in advance, and that appears on Spotify, but it's not released yet. You can go pitch and pre-pitch, and they can find you playlists and get your song out to the network if they like your song, all that stuff. All that work that they're doing, it's 1 song. So if you release 5 songs, only 1 song in that EP is going to get that treatment. But if you release all of them as singles, every one of them is going to potentially get that treatment. So that's
right.
a part of the engine that's driving that.
Right, but I think that's a business decision. I don't think that's a like creative energy flow. The music is coming to me. Like, I don't think it's as creative of a decision as it is a business decision. Because you're right about the single promotion thing, which I didn't really think about till right now. But because my brain is like not thinking in the business sense anymore at the moment, much more focused on like just making friends, meeting new people, being a person.
Well, you got Jack, who's with Balanced Breakfast, Austin, and you've got Balanced Breakfast, and the Austin group is jumping. So make sure you through Facebook sign up for the Balanced Breakfast session, and that right there is going to open up some new doors.
Yeah.
I know you're a little you're finding your feet right now, and I'm hearing this in the interview, like, but I'm like, no, you got it down. You already got a community that you instantly can plug into. B, you can play solo. Like for us that have to haul around gear and stuff, like you can pick up a guitar and just play.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that you can do that, you can build out from that core. So you're going to be fine. I'm just telling you, having that moment, you're going to be fine.
It's in my nature to slightly overly freak out about certain things. But I think, like, as embarrassing as it is to say, like, I just want to make friends, I bet my bottom dollar that there are tons of adults in their mid-30s, just like me, who are like, damn, it's hard to make friends. And it's not necessarily that I need to make like all musician friends. It's just meeting new people is a scary thing, especially in this like kind of post-pandemic thing where it's kind of like, don't want to get too close to you. Can I give you a high five? Can we grab a beer? Like, do you drink beer now? It's just like it's a whole thing.
That's a very good point. And
but it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. It's so far, like, the people I have met and the people I do work with, they're really awesome. So, it's been good, but like, yeah, slowly but surely things will happen. And who knows? I just don't know what it's going to sound like. And that's really cool. I'm really excited about that.
It will be interesting to see if the new musicians you work with change your sound.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I kind of think there's some core things that will stay. But maybe they will open up, avenues that I didn't know I could do. Okay. So I boxed myself into doing or out of doing because of what I had done in the past, type of situation. So we'll see. It probably won't be some sort of hip hop record or anything like that, but I don't know. I used to do hip hop stuff in college. So fun fact, used to sing on some hip hop tracks for some friends when we were.
You heard it here on Sunday Live. If you're a fan of Socorra, dig out on the internet. You may find some of these recordings.
You may find I was like the singer on some hip hop tracks, which was always really, really fun, kind of weird. Just because I never thought I had a voice that fit that type of music to like be that person, to like be that girl singing on the songs. But it's all good.
If you can nail it, you can nail it.
I would love to listen to them again. I'll have to dig in my email. I'll have to reach out to some college buddies that I did that with. Because, yeah, we would just goof around. We would spend like hours like on Fruity Loops and like just, not a care in the world.
Build up some beats, start improvising.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Yeah. Eat some junk food, build some beats, play some rock band, like fail some classes,
Okay,
like,
see, that's your fifth song you've written today.
Yeah,
right there.
Really,
that's the list of lyrics. Just say that. Eat some junk food, make some beats, and fail some school.
Yeah. Oh man.
When you're not paying attention to it, that's when it's like it starts flowing. And I've been on Joe.
Just like clear
skies
skies and rock and roll thing. I freaking love that.
Unless you lose your pieces of
paper.
My new
Instagram bio. My new Insta bio.
I'm trying to.
You never stop creating. You're condemned to it.
Look at that, condemned. You're condemned to be creative. And I've been bugging Joe with Lulu. Folks, I push you about your passions and getting out there and doing things. If you're like, I don't have a publisher, blah, blah, Lulu will print whatever you send them. So you just upload a Word document or PDF and boom, someone orders it, out comes a book one at a time. So I've been pushing for Joe to gather all of his comments from the show and from Facebook and whatnot into, just don't even edit, just gather all together into like 100 pages and put in a Word document and then just upload it to Lulu and I'll buy it.
There we go.
And there we go. Unblock the bears. Do you have a little more time? I know we're a little over time. I do have a plane that I can show as far as videos. I was going to show the Makes a Record part 1 and 2. I don't know. I feel like we're now so much about your presence. I'm afraid of going back.
Yeah,
like,
we were really talking about the
yeah.
present
So I
moment.
feel like maybe plane. We'll just drop the other shows. There's 2 different video clips of Socorra making an album, which is great because it shows the collaboration and the engagement with folks. That is available on her YouTube channel, and
Hmm.
the conversation we're having now isn't. So I'm glad we focused on the conversation and not those videos. But folks, do check it
Yeah,
out. They're really cool moments of that collaboration and kind of cooking in the kitchen.
yeah.
So I do want to show one more video. And
Awesome.
so where I'm going to show playing, and this gives an example of you playing solo and where you were at last year. This is
Hmm.
playing.
Probably my bedroom at home.
Yes.
I wish I could say pretty things and paint my words poetically, but all I wanna say just comes out plain. All I wanna say just comes out plain. If only the colors of my words were bright, they'd be brave, they'd be bold, they'd put up a fight. And I'd be as cool as King and Dylan, singing simply for a living. But with all my doubts and with all my fears, I wanna know if it ain't gonna go, if it ain't gonna fly. I wanna know if I should keep on trying, if I should keep on trying. When we get older, do our dreams die? Or do they take different form and then they rise? And when we get older, do our dreams die? And are we stubborn fools to keep on trying? Would you keep on trying? Do you love it enough to keep on trying? But with all my doubts and with all my fears, I wanna know if it ain't gonna go, if it ain't gonna fly. I wanna know if I should keep on trying, if I should keep on trying. Do I love it enough to keep on trying? I'm the only one who could ever know, the only one who could ever seek out, oh, what it all means to me. keep on trying. Oh, those cats out there are going crazy. Oh my God.
You're watching Sunday Live with Caleb and Joe, and it is now the last call with Joe Price. That was shorter than usual, Joe, so I didn't know that you had hit your last line.
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay, to the point and delivered. And Socorra, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time being on the show. I know with the move and everything, it was challenging to, get a time that worked for everybody. So thank you for going through that effort to make this happen, for us to do this episode. I think you're about to launch into a whole nother part of your musical career and creating material. So I would love later on in the year or in 2022 to do another episode with you. And during that episode, I'm going to ask you a question. I did not get to this episode, and don't answer it because, folks, you got to come back to Sunday Live to find out the answer to this. Is on your electric guitar and your acoustic guitar, you have the same face. I'd love to hear the backstory on that when you're back on the show. But for now, we're going to wrap up, and I'm going to go get dinner. And Joe, thank you for making the time to be on the show as well. You've been a trooper this last year. We got 2 more episodes for this season. Then we're going to take a break for the rest of the summer, and we'll see everybody in the fall. All right. Say bye to everybody, Joe and Socorra.
Bye, y'all. Thank you so much for having me.
You're absolutely welcome.
Thank you for your music.
Thank you. All right. Chat with you soon.
Yeah, stay on Zoom after we wrap up. And because I realize when I don't say that, I'll go, hey, and then the person's gone. Like, oh, that was for the audience, not for us. Anyhow.
We got it.
Cool. Thank you, everybody, for watching Sunday Live, tuning in this last year. It's been awesome. This show has really helped me, get through the COVID lockdown and a lot of other stuff that was going on in my life, and your support during that journey has meant a heck of a lot. Again, we have 2 more episodes, 5 to 6 p.m., plus obviously some overtime the next couple weeks. So next week will be some fun, goofy punk rock, and then the week after that will be about the music making process. Stay safe out there. See you next week, and take care. If you'd like to find out more about me, you can find me on Facebook at Caleb Duarte, Kalibduarte. I have music on Bandcamp. I have on YouTube. And in fact, on the Caleb Official channel on YouTube, you will find the Sunday Live episodes. If you like what you saw today and you haven't watched earlier episodes, go back and see Ren's episode, who worked with Socorra and other artists who have collaborated with each other, and check them out, okay? Have a great one. Thank you for watching.